All right. So I'm going to use sort of a frequently asked, an FAQ kind of style to try to help talk about a few things. So my main goal for this year is to help your kids become independent learners. I think we could probably all agree at some point we want them to take over everything in their lives, but right now we might, it's the when that sometimes people aren't quite ready to, that we sometimes disagree with. I think grade 5 is a good time to start. So what I'm going to do is going to try to give them more and more responsibility, but at the same time give them some tools to become more responsible. So one of the main tools is to use the website, my homework website. Hopefully everybody's seen that at least once and maybe even has bookmarked. Hi folks, just come on in. No problem. Taylor, why don't you grab your laptop, get it going, and double click on your Prezi so it can download while I'm talking here, okay? The other thing that I will post are some video lessons. So anytime I think it's a difficult concept, I'll make a video of it like I'm doing today, and I'll post it on my website. So that'll happen a lot when we do like math and division and that sort of thing. Yep.
Where will the video lessons be posted?
It'll be on my website and it says video lessons. Kids can get help from me. I'm here every lunchtime, all the time. So if they need any help on anything, just come by and talk to me. We can work something out. We often do peer tutors as well. So if we're doing a math lesson, for example, and some kids finish early and they've got the concept figured out, we get them to sign up on the board. And the kids that sometimes struggle, they can, if they don't want to see me, they can go see one of their friends for some help. And the other thing I'm going to do that I did last year and I'm going to do again is something called Jupiter Grades. And basically, I'm going to put my mark book online for kids and for parents to see. And I'll show you that later. Another question I get a lot is, why do I use technology? And really, the reason I use technology is for motivation. If I could get the same results with a stick and a rock, I would do that. But I find that I'm able to, if the kids have a bigger audience, they're going to actually take more ownership in it. And so we haven't started this yet, but we're going to start blogging. And when we blog, kids write about it, but then it's like before, the old school used to be an audience of one. It was the teacher, that was the only audience, maybe the parent. But now they're going to have an audience of their peers. And so once they write something, their peers are going to be able to go on and leave them comments and talk about what they liked, what they didn't like. And that I found to be really, really powerful. I get better quality work from kids. And I also give them the chance to learn some 21st century skills. Things like trying to be creative, trying to collaborate, problem solve, that sort of thing. Right now we're learning about how to be safe online, because I think a lot of kids at this age don't know anything really about being safe online, and so this gives me a chance to have that discussion with them and talk about what should you share, what shouldn't you share, how can you protect yourself. And we will start doing monthly projects starting in October, and the reason I do that is because I really find that giving them a bigger task allows them to figure out things as far as planning for it. You'll probably find out that the first one, there'll be a bunch of them that will do it the night before, and yet there'll be others that'll plan their way through and they'll be able to get there at a comfortable pace. But that's all part of the growing up. The thing that I found as well with using blogging is it actually turned out to be more than a blog. It turned out to be like a digital scrapbook. So we had kids post everything that they did inside their blog, so that in 10 years from now they have a copy of what they've done. They can go view that at any time. So it's everything from book reports to research to speeches to whatever. And so there's like this kid has like five pages worth of stuff that sort of represents what she did over the course of 10 months. So I thought that's kind of we stumbled upon that, but in the end I thought this is really quite cool, because in the past I was always collecting pieces of paper, give it to them in June, and then who knows what happens to it at the end of that. But now at least they've got a copy of the stuff that they've been making, which is really pretty neat. So why do I assign book reports? Like I said, in October we're going to start our first book report. And one of the reasons is to encourage kids to read. I also want to check to make sure they understand what they're reading. I'm going to give them a bunch of different ways to present what they have read, and hopefully once they learn how to use these things, they're going to use, they'll learn how to use PowerPoint, and so they'll be able to use PowerPoint for social studies and science and other things. And it really does force them to become better organized, because like I said, we'll probably find that a bunch of kids are going to do their project all within a couple of days, then they won't be happy with it, and then hopefully they'll learn from that, and then they'll set themselves some goals and eventually get to a point where they're going to be more comfortable with it. Now, it's not assigned every month. It's only going to be assigned the months that we do have more or less a full month. So December there won't be one, spring break there won't be one, June there won't be one. So there's only 6 throughout the year. Now, what'll happen is the students will pick a book, they'll bring it to you, you'll look at it, make sure you're comfortable with it, with their reading level, with what it is. You might not want them reading Goosebumps or whatever, and you as a parent will be able to say, yes, this I'm okay with this, or no, I'm not okay with that. And I will provide samples, and the samples are on my website. So if you look on the projects page, it'll tell you what it is that we're doing, and there'll be a link to an online sample so you can see what other kids have done in the past. I think some people that don't know me, when I first get the Life with Mr. Thrill thing, they think I'm a real ogre. And, am I really that strict? And no, I don't think I am. I think people that know me kind of know that I can roll with just about everything. But what I find with kids in grade 5 is that their world is more black and white than it is gray. And so that's why I have, okay, if you get more than 5 homework marks in a month, this is what's going to happen. If you get more than 5 superstars in a month, something good's going to happen. So I try to live the class life the way I live my life, with logical consequences and rewards. Like if I don't pay my taxes, I get a penalty. If I get caught speeding, I'm going to get a fine. So I try to make that sort of come through in their world. If you don't do your homework, then you're going to have to stay in and get your homework done at lunchtime, that sort of thing. So what we're going to try to do to make these kids have strong connections socially? Well, we're going to do quite a bit of group work. And we're going to change the desks every month. So next week we're going to be reshuffling the deck. And every month we'll reshuffle the deck. And I'm going to try to put them in what I think is going to be the best possible combinations I can as I get to know them a bit better. Now the question that comes up always is Victoria. And so we have gone to Victoria for the last number of years. And the answer always at this time of year is maybe. And one of the big keys is the government grant. Last year we did not get a government grant, and so that made the cost of the trip more than in the years gone past. So we've applied for the grant. We usually find out in January, and then once we find out, then we'll have a parent meeting and we'll tell you, yes, we have a grant, no, we don't have a grant, how much it's going to cost, and then the parents decide whether or not we're going to go. So really just on the back burner now until we find out the news from the grant application. The trip takes place the last full school week of June. So I think it's like June 18th, 19th, 20th are the dates for this year. So I want to talk a little bit about how letter grades are calculated, make sure we're all on the same page here. So a letter grade really should tell the parent what their child can do on their own. Okay? And so with that in mind, I've got 3 different weightings or 3 different categories. The major category, which is worth 65% of the mark, would be on stuff that they clearly can demonstrate they did it all on themselves here at school. So, your obvious example would be something like a test. Minor would be 30% of the grade. And these are things that are, more project-based perhaps, book reports, that kind of thing. And then I have a little section that's only worth 5% that I call participation. And for example, things like having gym strip here, or I forgot, do you have your homework done? No, I don't, I left that home. And those ones are usually just a mark out of 1. And you either get a 1 out of 1 or you get a 0 out of 1. And so as you can see, participation only counts for 5%. And so it makes up very little of the ABC, but it's the biggest mark that I use for the effort mark, the GS&M. And so with that in mind, it's very possible for someone to get an A and an N. For example, if you're a great athlete, but you never bring a gym strip, quite easily get an A and an N. Okay, and the same thing goes for a C plus and a G. You know, you might not be, well, I'll use PE again, but you might not be the greatest athlete and stuff like that, but you're always there, you're always trying, you're always prepared. So those kind of marks are very, are not that uncommon. Now, what I'm going to do is I made a little video on Jupiter grades, okay, and I'm going to just sort of show you that whole experience, and then I've got a sheet for you today that you're going to take home that has your password, your temporary passwords and stuff like that. I'll just play that for you now, hopefully.
Okay, so I'd like to show you what your
Ryan,
parent
get that.
reports are going to look like. So you just sign in as underneath your child user ID. You made this fake student, Zoro. Click on login. And you'll see that right now only drama is being reported on, but as math and reading and everything else gets reported on, you'll see a quick little summary where it gives you the subject and percentage and the letter grade. Now, if you want to see the more details, you just click on the subject, and you'll see. Let me just close this first. You'll see that there's one underneath minor assignments. They've got a total of 15%. Under major, they've got a total of 93%, and under participation, they have 0. Then we have a bigger picture here, where it actually gives you more details. For example, underneath the assignment, underneath the minor assignment, I gave them a 6 out of 10. Underneath another minor assignment called Everybody Did Not Hand In, I indicated that it was missing, and in this case, that actually calculates as 0. Under a fake major assignment, in the major assignment category, I gave them a 41 out of 44, and then I pretended that there was a homework assignment that didn't get done, and therefore they got a 0 out of 1, which goes into participation. Now, the missing assignments, they can go ahead and catch up on these things. And so as they finish missing assignments, then their mark will be reflected in that. Maybe might want to draw your attention to the worth. By default, they're all going to be set as 10, and they'll probably just all stay in there as 10, but if there is an assignment or a test that is sort of a major, something that's worth, in my opinion, more than a 10, that would be reflected here. If the title of the assignment doesn't make enough sense to you, that you don't understand what that really means, if you click on these arrows, it will give you a little description of what it is. Now, I'm not going to do that every time. If I think the title makes enough sense, I'll just leave it as that. But fake major assignment, what is that? Well, click on it, the arrow, and then I'll explain to you what it is. And that's really about all you need to know. And so I hope that you can use this to help your student figure out where they are right now and what they can do to help themselves get a better mark.
So, having said that, if you go home today and log in, I don't want to get any emails saying my child's failing, because some of them are. And the reason they're failing is that I might have only for PE recorded one day gym strip, and they either got a 1 out of 1 or a 0. So right now their PE mark might be 100% or 0%. So just know that nothing really major has been added there just yet. And once again, students can see me at any time to catch up on any missing assignments for whatever reason they may be missing. So the question always is, at this time of year, how's my child doing? And in general, I would say the one thing I want to start getting on, and we're going to get on it today, are math facts. I find that usually at this time of year, the math facts aren't where they need to be, and I want to get on it right away because it's not going to be too long down the road when we're going to be working on long division and 2-digit times 2-digit, and if the students don't know what 3 times 7 is, it's just going to be a real frustrating experience for them. So I'll be giving you something today that you can take home. And like I said, it's too early to tell about letter grades, but I wanted to show you another real quick little video where I'll show you how you can set up your Jupiter grades so that you can get email notifications anytime. I'll play the video and it'll be pretty obvious. It's one of the real strengths of the program.
This video is designed to show you how to log into your online report card. So if you get to my site, click on homework. And then on the bottom of the homework page, there's a link here that says you can get to your online report card here. Now, the first time that you log in, now by the way, you can add this to your favorites. later on so that you can just get there in shorter clicks. But you should take a look at the letter I gave you, and you'll need to enter the name that's on the letter as given. Now, I created a student named Joe Zorro, and there, on that letter, there's a password for Joe, there's a password for his for two parents as well. So I'm gonna log in as a parent. Now, first time you log in, it's gonna make you change that temporary password to something that you're gonna want to keep. And then you can set the preferences. So here, if Joe wants to receive email updates, he can put in his email address here. If you're the parent, you put in your name here. And I'm the father. And I'm going to make up an email here. Now, don't put in your phone numbers because it won't work with our cell phone providers. Don't put anything here where it says alert if you're absent or tardy, because the system is not used to track absences. But here, I would suggest, I actually really want you to, click on right here if there's a missing assignment. And then if you want to be updated if something's been handed in, but the assignment comes in lower than B, C, D, F, whatever it is that you want to pick, you can go ahead and do that. And so you can get that on a schedule, so you can have that happen every Friday, or you can happen Monday to Friday on weekdays, or you're welcome to pick and choose whatever it is that you want to have there. Now, I will try to keep my gradebook updated every second week. I'm going to try to make sure that all the marks I have on paper get put online, so that you should be able to get email notifications every 2 weeks or thereabouts if something here that you've entered meets certain criteria. So anyways, once you've put in all the information you want, click on save. And then I would suggest that you close out of that and go back in, click back here, and then I would get the other parent to do the same thing with their parental password, and that way both parents can get emails sent to their phones or whatever they want to have them sent to, and both parents can be kept informed. So I hope this helps, and let me know if you have any questions.
So let me just once again point out what it's going to kind of look. I just want to point out that we don't have a lot of data in there right now. So for example, this is the current PE mark, and you can see that there's 24 kids that have 100%, 2 kids that have 0, and that's once again just because those 2 kids didn't have the gym strip. And this is the science mark, and once again there's only the title page there, and that's because it was either here on time or it wasn't on time. So 16 kids have an A and 11 kids are failing, but it's only because they just didn't bring their sheet there at the one time. But the message is, do not panic. Now, what can you do to help your child? Like I said, we're going to talk about math facts shortly, but practice them regularly. And then, let me just show it to you right now. So I'm going to send home this letter, and basically attached to the letter will be a sheet that looks like that, just a little single one of that. So earlier this week we went and I asked the kids to complete skip counting, 2, 4, 6, 8, etc. The whole times table from 2 to 9, and I displayed a stopwatch, and I said, okay, once you're done, write down the time it took you, and then we marked it. And the goal, like I said, is that the kids can be able to do this in 3 minutes or less by the end of the year. Okay. Now some kids, they're nowhere near. A lot of kids are pretty close. Only one kid right now is at that level. But my guess is if we do this every day for a month, I would say that in the past, most of the class is there at the end of 1 month. Some still take longer. But if they haven't been practicing their times table, if that hasn't been part of their life, then you could probably expect a fairly low score, fairly high time for now. I would really encourage a regular homework time. Even if your child says, I have no homework, that's great. But if they don't have any homework, then, get them to check my website first of all. Make sure that that is true. And if it's not true, get them to read or do math practice or practice on website games or something. Try to set 10-minute goals. If you find that your child, what to you looks like it's a 10-minute job and it's taking them 2 hours, then give them a timer. If they have an iPod Touch, they got a timer. Give them a timer. Ask them, okay, what can you do in 10 minutes? Start the timer, and then see, did you get done what you hope to get done? Because if nothing else, what that'll do is that'll save you from wasting 2 hours. You might only waste 10 minutes compared to 2 hours. And don't let them tell you that Mr. Sterl says this is the only way to do math. I get that every single year. We're going to show them many different ways to divide, many different ways to multiply. Some of the ways that you and I grew up with, and some of the ways are sort of different ways we figured it out. But whatever works for you to help them, just do it. And don't let them tell you no, that there's only one way. So the best way to contact me is through email. Hopefully everybody's getting my mass emails. And then if you have an individual question, just shoot me an email. I check my email religiously 12 times a day. So I'm pretty good about getting back to you right away. So that's about it. So what's next is I'd like to drag your kids into the world of adults a little bit. So I'm going to come around, and students, what you're going to do is you're going to say, Mr. Sterl, this is my mom, and you're going to give me your mom or your mom's first name, and then you say, Mom, this is Mr. Sterl, and we're going to shake hands, even though we may have met already, and we'll chit chat and that sort of thing. While you're waiting for you to make the rounds, what I'd like students to do is I'd like you to show your parent your Prezi, and anything like that's, we don't have a whole lot to show right now, but we do have that. So show them your Prezi, dig out some books if you want to show them the books and that sort of thing. Now, one thing I'm going to give parents, just because you're here, I'm going to give you a get out of jail pass that you can take home. Kids, they will do just about anything for one of these. So you may use this get out of jail pass in any way you see fit. And once you think your child has earned it, just give it, sign it, give it to them, and they will keep it. And then if they need to get bailed out of trouble sometime, they'll cash it in. Okay? Are there any questions? Absolutely, yeah. If you want to keep it for yourself, that wouldn't be a bad idea either. Okay, so Ryan, you can get the lights on, and I'll just start making the rounds.